coming to you from a hotel room high above Times Square. We'll give you some pics of that as I'm here in New York City. We'll show you my location a little bit later on in the show. TK, happy holidays to you. I tell you, being in New York this week, Tommy, it gives you a little bit more of a Christmas feel than it does back in Louisiana, where most of the time it's hot and humid, and you wouldn't know that it's Christmas. But at least over here for a little bit, it's been a little bit chilly, and you see all the pretty lights and everything, and it feels like a little bit of Christmas season is around the corner. Although we've had the Rockettes show canceled, had some tickets to that. They canceled their show for the rest of the year due to COVID, and there's been some stop-starts with some of the Broadway shows. They shut down for a day or two, and then they come back and all that. So it's a little bit crazy with that. But I'm here in New York City. They're making preparations for the big New Year's Eve party. You see the barricades starting to go up. Some of the signs already starting to say 2022 on them. Get ready for what's going to be a giant celebration at the end of the month with millions of people downtown. Today on Sports Shorts Daily, we're going to talk a little bit about LSU Men's and Women's Hoops. They're both ranked. LSU Baseball, they're ranked. Gymnastics is ranked. I mean, it's crazy. Everybody's ranked except LSU football, and hopefully next year they can get that turned around to where they will definitely be ranked next season. Also today we'll talk about the New Orleans Saints. I got to be honest with you, Tommy. I didn't get a chance to see the Saints game because I was in New York City Sunday night and, going to dinner and shows and all that. But I kept checking my phone, and it was absolutely incredible. The Saints winning 9-0. To keep track of it on the phone was incredible. And the question I have to you and everybody out there that's watching is this the greatest Saints defensive performance in franchise history? For a single game, was this the greatest defensive performance that the franchise has ever had? We know that Tom Brady, it's the first time that he's been shut out, since back when Nick Saban was a coach at Miami. So that's a long, long time. But outside of just that simple snapshot, when you think about it, was that the greatest defensive performance, considering they've got no offense and everything like that? So we'll throw around that debate as well. Let's bring in TK from Court Street Cafe. Let's start with the Saints, Tommy, since it's the oldest topic on our plate. They were 11.5-point underdog. We know there's been bigger underdogs that won games this year, even in fact. Jaguars were a 20-point underdog to Buffalo and beat them earlier this year. But for where the Saints were on the road against Tampa Bay, with everything on the line, their season on the line, the 6-7, they got to win to keep pace. There's too many teams around them that have playoff potential. They feel like, you got to win in order to really give yourself a legitimate shot to be in the playoffs. But yet at the same time, I mean, who's really thinking they're going to beat Tampa and Tom Brady and that staff and everything, that crew in Tampa? But yet they did, and they have owned Tom Brady. It's the fourth time they've beaten him in the regular season in the last 2 years. They shut him out the first time in 15 years. But where does this defensive performance rank for you?
Well, it's way up there. I mean, when you shut out Tom Brady. Now, granted, Evans got hurt, Godwin got hurt, he's out for the year, Fournette got hurt. That's three of their go-to guys. But injuries happen, okay? Saints have had their fair share. They also didn't have Sean Payton in the building. Maybe that was some motivation. That, maybe the defense said, hey, look, we got to step it up and, make sure that our offense, we give them a chance to win. All they got was 3 field goals, but man, that defense was just everywhere, constantly pressured Brady. They frustrated him. They got in his head, as the old saying goes, and had, throwing tablets on the sidelines and cursing at the Saints bench. I mean, they got to him when normally he's unflappable. Saints got to him. Unbelievable defensive performance. I mean, a shutout in the NFL. Wow. Against Tom Brady, the Super Bowl champ, the greatest quarterback of all time. You start with Dennis Allen, you go right through every defensive coach and the staff, and it was just incredible.
I think Dennis Allen might have got him a head coaching job after that performance. And what I mean by that is he's a guy that everybody knows about, and he's been in the conversation for a head coaching job. He was last offseason. But I think, Tommy, that what this did was it shined the spotlight in a giant way and in a national perspective way on what a great job he's done with this Saints defense. We know they've had a great year defensively, especially in a year where they've got no help from the offense. And so this just kind of wrapped up and put a bow on what a great job. Imagine you're a team with a head coaching job opening and you want to sell it to your owner and your franchise and your fans. You say, hey, this is a guy who's beat Tom Brady the last 4 times in the last 2 years. And so from that perspective, it's an easy sell to be able to. I mean, you beat Green Bay Packers this year. You beat Tampa twice and you've beaten Green Bay once. So I think when it comes to the offseason, regardless of what happens to the Saints, you're going to be able to sell Dennis Allen to your fans if you believe he's the guy that's right for your job.
I agree with that completely. His name has come up a time or two over the years, but it wasn't like he was a finalist for a job that we could tell or anything like that. But you're right. He certainly made plus it was Sunday Night Football. All NFL eyes were on that game. It's not like it was one of the noon games that, there's 8 games going on at one time. So it was a great job by the Saints. No way in hell did I think they would win. They did. So, you just got to tip your hat to them. Now they play next Monday night against the Dolphins in the Dome. That's going to be interesting. They can win that game.
They can win that game, and it's not a lock, though. The Dolphins have been a great story the last 5 years.
Better lately, yeah.
So, I mean, they're a team they're in the same position as the Saints with everything in front of them, the must-win for them to make the playoffs and that sort of thing, and they've been playing much, much better over the last 5-6 weeks. So, on paper, a month and a half ago, this looked like a lock win for the Saints. Not the case anymore. Although they are at home, you would hope that the fans would have one more in them kind of thing to turn out and to almost celebrate the win against Tampa. You're not going to play a home game if you make the playoffs unless something crazy happens, down the stretch. But so you've got to this is an opportunity. There's only a couple home games left. This is an opportunity for the Saints to try to get a home field advantage in that dome with a lot on the line.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, they got the little break all the way to Monday night, then it'll be all eyes on the Saints again. Can the defense follow up that performance? I mean, it was pretty good. Yeah, Garner Johnson got in his face, and they got to Brady. He's supposed to be unflappable. Saints got to him. I can promise you this: every opponent of the Buccaneers going forward is going to break down that Saints tape for sure.
By the way, not only did Garner Johnson get in his face, but did you see the tweet he put out yesterday? It was one of the best tweets. He put out a tweet that said he put at Microsoft and at Surface Pro.
Yeah, can you please send me a?
He said,
great.
Hey, can you please send me a Surface Pro? I've got a friend who broke his and he needs a new one for Christmas.
That's the tweet of the year.
I mean, you talk about just a awesome jab in a classy way.
And all in good fun. I mean, Brady would probably laugh at that. I really think he would. Maybe not now, but in the offseason, he'll go, yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Now, Garner Johnson, he reminds me a lot of Pac-Man Jones or, just talking crap all the time. You love him if he's on your team. You hate him if he's on everybody else's team. Hell, even Michael Thomas hates him being on the Saints team.
That's that guy. There's always one of them on the team.
Here's a guy also that we haven't talked as much about in the last couple of years as maybe we thought we would, being that the Saints gave up 2 first-round picks to get him. When Davenport is healthy, he's a beast, and he played one of the better games of his career against Tampa.
He did. I mean, he's tough. Plus, they're worried about Cam Jordan on the other side, and that allows Davenport, to maybe make a few more plays than if you didn't have Cam Jordan on the other side. Because, I mean, man, that's a pretty serious combo there. I mean, the Saints, maybe they could ride this defense because I still think Simeon should be in at quarterback, but that's a conversation for another day. Maybe this Sunday night on Sports Short Radio, we can talk at length about the Saints quarterback situation.
I got to believe that the man crush that Sean Payton clearly has on Taysom Hill has got to be nearing completion. I mean, it's just
he's got to know that the guy can't play quarterback. I mean, gee.
The other thing, too, talking about the Saints, are you buying that this is going to turn anything around for them?
We'll find out Monday night. I mean, what have you done for me lately? Okay, great win. You shut out Brady. You beat the Bucks. The NFC South win. Now, how are you going to react to that? How are you going to follow up? So if they go out and beat the Dolphins Monday night in the Dome, then you got to start thinking, whoa, what we got here?
Well, I would say this, Tommy. I'm not buying that the Saints have fixed anything
No,
shutting out the Bucks. We knew the defense was really good. They just proved it because the offense is still just absolutely a mess.
Ronnie, everybody has injuries, but the Bucks lost their three go-to guys other than Brady.
Mm-hmm.
Godwin, Evans, Fournette. Did not play much in the game. Godwin a little more than the other two, and he's out for the year with an ACL. Now Brady wants a rule change on that. I don't know if you saw that because they hit him in the knee. You got to check that out. There's plenty of articles about that. Brady has popped off more after this game than I've seen him after any game in a long, long time.
Well, I think he's probably just and I'm not making excuses for him. I'm just trying to think why he's more vocal and all than he ever was before. Part of that is he's not playing for Bill Belichick and the Patriots, and the culture's different, right? Bill Belichick was one that didn't speak much, didn't want his guys to talk, that sort of thing. Where he's got the freedom to do what he wants in Tampa. And then the other is he's got to be just incredibly frustrated. I mean, he's never run into this situation before in his life where a team has just kind of owned him defensively, with the exception of the second half of the game against the Saints in New Orleans last year in the playoffs. You're talking about 10 halves, 40 quarters. The Saints have owned him on about 36 of the 40 quarters. And so he's just got to be like, what the hell is going on? It's got to be almost maddening for him.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. And I mean, because it's not right now, it's not the well-oiled machine it was at the last half of the season last year and through the playoffs. And who knows what status with Fournette and Evans is going to be. So, they'll have to deal with that down in Tampa. Saints can focus on getting ready for the Dolphins.
Callaway also with a nice game, one of the few bright spots for the Saints team on offense. All right, let's talk a little bit about LSU. The opt-outs have began for LSU football. Neil Farrell Jr., who is arguably their best defensive lineman, one of their top two defensive players behind Damone Clark. He opted out to go work on getting ready for the NFL. That's extremely disappointing based on the fact how much they've stood by Neil Farrell over the years, but no Ogeron there to recruit him. So he's out. That's another blow for LSU. We knew this was going to happen, right? We knew this was going to begin. I got Tremonti's up there.
Yeah, I was going to tell you, change that one out a little bit. Yeah. We'll be there on Friday, and they're booming with Christmas orders and gift cards.
And I'll actually be there Friday picking up some food. You're over at Court Street today. But Tommy, this is what I'm worried about, man, is the fact that we're going to run into a situation for LSU where they may only have mid-40s players available to them. And when you take out the maybe low 40s, the NFL is a 43-man roster. That's what LSU maybe is going to play with. I mean, they have a 53-man roster, but is it active? Is the 53 active or the 43 active?
53.
It's 53? Okay. LSU's going to have way less than that. I mean, they haven't released yet the players that are academically ineligible. And you and I both know that number is double digits. So between the eligible, uneligible, and the opt-outs, I don't know what this number is going to be, Tommy. It may be 40, 41 scholarship players. And that just, to me, is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to show up and play, but they're going to be – now Kansas State's now a 3-point favorite. That line has made a big swing since it opened. But anyway, hey, it's been a wild and wacky LSU season and the coach change and this, that, and the other. So why not have a wild and wacky preparation for the bowl? Just thank goodness all the programs on campus are doing really, really well. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But LSU football, it's day-to-day with what's up, what's not up. Brennan gets engaged at the 50-yard line in Tiger Stadium yesterday, and they post that video. I mean, it's been the wackiest LSU football season in a long time.
PFF, Pro Football Focus, has Farrell rated as one of the highest interior defensive linemen, and he had a great year for LSU. And he
he's
has
in the middle.
he has rated high. But Tommy, if you were to stand next to him, he does not look like an NFL defensive lineman. Um, I would be stunned and surprised, quite honestly, if he was a superstar, or not a superstar, if he was a longtime NFL pro as a defensive lineman. Physically, to me, he just doesn't seem like he's got the body and the size to be that guy. We'll see if maybe somehow he changes his physique when he gets to the NFL. But this is a guy that's 22 years old, 23 years old. I would be surprised. So I think he was going to end up being a good college player, but I think I'd be stunned if he became a good NFL player. You mentioned those teams that are on campus. LSU right now, unprecedented time for LSU men and women's basketball. It's been quite some time, probably since John Brady's teams were in the Final Four back in the day, Tommy, where they're both ranked. Not ranked in the top 20 yet, both in the top 25. Women are close. They're ranked 21. The men are 16.
Yeah, no, it's quite a time for LSU basketball. The excitement, the crowds have been showing up. Tigers have a home game tomorrow night, Wednesday night at the Pete Maravich Assembly. I know a lot of people told me they're going. I don't remember like last year people saying, "Hey, man, I'm going to the basketball game." I hadn't remembered that. But no, they're both ranked. You credit Will Wade, you credit Kim Mulkey, and these players are working hard, and you need to get out there and see them play. And, they got a lot of good things going right now. Of course, conference play is right around the corner.
You mentioned the LSU men. Their next matchup is against Lipscomb. Lipscomb, let's see, they have a 6-7 record, I believe. Let me look here. Yep, 6-7 record. Has Lipscomb. LSU, of course, 11-0. Even though it was a very much a neutral site, 50-50 probably, maybe even 60-40 LSU fans up in Shreveport taking on Louisiana Tech. The fact that you went on the road, once again, you had adversity. It seems like it's a broken record. They fall behind in the first half, and then they have a very good second half. Not quite sure why that is. That's something they're going to have to get fixed, because you can't play with fire and not get burned doing that every game. But they were able to overcome a Louisiana Tech team who's going to win a lot of basketball games. I'm sure I didn't see the press conference. I'm sure Will Wade said that he thought this was a pretty good team. And so, LSU, like we said, probably going to be 12-0 going into SEC play. The schedule is brutal at the beginning. And they open up against a ranked Auburn team. So I'm excited. I'm excited with one eye, and with the other eye, I'm watching Indianapolis, because I'm waiting on the NCAA shoe to drop. Seems like we've been saying that for 3 years. We know the investigation into the LSU's Will Wade and the basketball team has kind of come to a conclusion. So keep waiting for something to happen. We know Auburn's had some sanctions, and theirs wasn't near sort of implied to be as bad as LSU. We'll see what happens. Kim Mulkey doing the job, man. You saw where Gordon McKernan got involved. Gordon McKernan, the attorney in Baton Rouge, it worked out an NIL deal with LSU's leading scorer. LSU falling way behind in NIL compared to an A&M or an Alabama or a Miami or a Texas when it comes to NIL deals for its athletes. And that's partly why, behind the scenes, you're losing some athletes that are transferring, particularly in football. They're getting these NIL deals. Well, they're going to need people like Gordon McKernan and other sponsors and supporters to step up, and he was the first one to do it. His first NIL athlete is a women's sports athlete, and he said he's going to get more into other sports if it makes sense to do so. And I imagine, look, Kim will never announce it officially, and she can't legally, but come on, Kim Mulkey made this deal happen, and kudos to her. She's not one to sit on her hands.
Right. Well, here's the thing. When NIL started July 1, LSU came out the gate strong with that billboard right by you in Times Square up in New York, and the NILSU logo they made. But like you said, they've fallen behind the people like Texas, Miami, Texas A&M, these other schools that put together big-time things, Oregon, and all of a sudden, they've got some ground to cover up. Maybe this is the first step with Gordon McKernan, and others are going to step up. But, I was in a conversation last night. These other places have more money than LSU. LSU fans don't want to hear that, but it's a fact.
We'll show you real quick before we go where I'm at here, Tommy. Right above, high above Times Square. I am literally.
What floor are you on?
I'm on the 14th floor.
That's a good number.
Look, do you see that sign? It says Louisiana, Feed Your Soul. I don't know. Can you see that across the
street?
Yeah,
I did. I said the yellow, right below the yellow thing. Yeah.
So in Mardi Gras 2022.
They still have Mardi Gras?
The state of Louisiana has spent some money to advertise in Times Square, and they've been running, videos and pictures and all that sort of thing the whole time I've been here.
Can we get Sports Shows Daily on that big screen?
I don't know. Billy Nungesser, I guess, is the head of that.
Well, Billy, you and Billy are partners.
Yeah.
I mean, I know this.
Yeah.
So once you say, Billy, we need a little 10-second Sports Shows Daily in Times Square. I'm for it.
They've got all the barricades getting set up. The one thing I've noticed about here is there's COVID testing centers everywhere,
really?
And they're free. What I mean by that is a lot of people, think about it. Think about all the people in New York City that come from foreign countries, right? And they got to go back to wherever they came from. Well, you got to have a test, usually within the last 24, 48 hours, 72 hours, whatever, before you can get on the plane to go back to wherever you came from. A lot of businesses, if you're not vaccinated, you might have you got to have a test to get into a restaurant or a place or whatever. There are lines all over the place, booths all over the place, little kiosks that are even like in Times Square or by Central Park or whatever, just little tables with a tent over it, and boom, they swab you or whatever, and they probably send you a text and let you know your result. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's all over the place. Final thought here before we go. LSU Baseball ranked third in the country. Final thought, Tommy.
Yeah, well, rankings are rankings. That's a lot of paper on paper and reputation. The new coaches come in. They got the number one recruiting class in the country. I met Jason Kelly, the pitching coach, the other night. He was on Hold the Rope Radio with us. By the way, that hour featuring Jason Kelly is available on the Hold the Rope Facebook page if you want to check it out. If you're a baseball fan, you need to go there, scroll down, and click it and listen to Skip and I and Jason Kelly and Dan Canterbury talking about pitching for about a little over 30 minutes. We did 3 segments with Jason Kelly. But the baseball team, hey, it's LSU, it's baseball, but they're in the SEC. Pitching mark's still a little bit of a question. We're going to have Jason Kelly back on Hold the Rope Radio at the end of January. He's already committed to us. Then he'll have a better idea of what's going on. But it's great publicity for LSU. Jay Johnson and his staff have, done a lot of things. They haven't filled out a lineup card yet. They've done a lot of things. They have moved a few kids off the roster that we knew was coming, and I'm sure a formal announcement will come soon.
Yeah, Craig Schilling was listening the other day. He says Jason Kelly discussion was great. And that's the wonderful thing about having Coach Burtman involved with the show. If he asks a coach to come on, they're going to say yes. It's just a matter of when.
Well, I tell you, Skip was on top of it. I mean, they were talking change-ups and spin rate. I mean, I highly encourage people to go listen to it. And if you can't find it, you get a hold of me and I'll get you a link. It's on the ESPN 1045 website. All the shows are archived you got hour number 1 from Hold the Rope Sunday night. That's when Jason Kelly was on with us.
All right, hit that like button, hit that share button. Everybody have a good one. We'll be back, Friday morning from Tremonti?
Friday at Tremonti's, but don't forget Court Street Cafe in Port Allen. They're closed Friday and Saturday. They wish everyone a Merry Christmas. They'll be back open Sunday the 26th for brunch. If you're tired, ready to get out the house, come on over to Court Street Cafe. Also got a big event coming up the end of January we'll tell you about in the coming weeks. Court Street Cafe. Connect on Facebook and Instagram. Jason and staff do a great job, and always good food, breakfast, lunch, dinner, closed Christmas Eve and Christmas, but check them out any other time that you can.